For editors, talking together, knowing what the other has gone through really elevates our morale, because you're not alone. And that special thing you did in that particular movie, there's someone else who saw what you did, even if other people. The best editing is invisible.
Yes.
It's invisible. It feels so natural, such that the audience goes in and walks out. It was like a part of their life. They didn't notice the small details.
How do you personally price your work? Welcome to The Creative Hustle, the podcast that dives deep into the heart of the creative economy. And here we explore the highs, the lows, and what it truly takes to succeed as a creator today. And in this episode, we're tackling something that is actually really close to my heart as a multimedia profession. And it's a topic about pricing your work. And with me on studio is a post-production expert in the editing section. It's called Justin Wachira. So, Justin, welcome to the show.
Thank you, Nick.
Tell us what you do behind the scenes.
Well, just like the title suggests, I'm an editor, video editor, and that includes, I think, most formats, especially working here in Kenya. So you start from documentaries, a big part of the market, films, TV commercials, documentaries, like I mentioned, events, weddings. We've done the whole range, and even now there's a huge increase in social media production. We also do videos for social media. So in that sector, I kind of specialize in the post-production, start from the editing, the sound mixing, color grading, VFX, and final delivery of the products.
All right. So can you tell us how long have you been in this industry, and like what's your journey? How did you end up editing videos?
To be very honest, I didn't know that there was a career called video editing. I didn't know. Even through high school, I didn't know. I joined, I was very interested in production, I have to say. I loved movies as a child. We grew up on a very healthy diet of movies, TV. My brothers and I growing up, I come from a village called Nderi. Do you know Nderi?
Yes.
So having been born there, I think we were in the environment of with this kind of things, and with people who are in this industry. So I got an interest in my first interest after reading was writing. So I thought that I'd be a newspaper journalist. So I joined Daystar University after high school with the intention of writing for newspapers. However, along the way, and it's just the way the course is designed, you do a few courses from each department, kind of, and then found myself more and more involved in the electronic media production, shooting, editing, and then finally in our fourth year we did our student movie. From Daystar University, they do have a special course that you can specialize in, where you do shoot a movie. Mm-hmm. So when we shot that,
did you like the movie, first of all?
Do I like it now, or did I like it then? Oh, I loved it. I have to say I loved it, and I think that's it. The interest in the story has to be at the beginning of it. So when we shot this movie, when we wrote, produced it, went through the motions of casting, finally went to the field and shot it within our school program, we were left with all the footage, and now people slowly left the room, and just a small group of us were left. Looking at the footage and wondering now, we had only edited a few scenes here and there. Semester is over. The lecturer needs to see the film to grade it. And that's really when I got into the editing studio. So we sat down, we edited it, and now that's where you realize that that's where it all comes together. So what you shot, the performances of the actors, how good your camera work was on that day. Now combine that with things like music, try and pace it, so that the edit room became a very special place for us at that time, because we kind of corrected a few of the mistakes we had done on the field, vindicated ourselves, because it was a big deal. You're always walking around with a camera. What have you guys actually been doing? Mm-hmm. And then from there, left university to join the job market, and more found myself doing this kind of stuff. So I started with TV shows, documentaries. I was working for a company at that time, and when I left that, I joined the freelance field. I had a very interesting opportunity with, they call it One Fine Day Films. So those are the guys who did Soul Boy, Nairobi Half-Life, and I think a group of 7 movies. German Kenyan co-production. So I joined that program. I was selected to be the editor of that movie, Something Necessary. And so after shooting the movie for 20 days, we continued with the edit for the next 9 months. So we edited that movie for 9 months, both here and in Germany. So we'd travel with the director several times, Judy Kibinge, who now runs DocuBox. So we traveled with the director and sat with our movie. You know, you sit with the footage here, you get on a plane, you sit with the footage there. There's not much difference, right? But then we saw how much the story evolved in that process. Those 9 months, we'd thought, I mean, after shooting for 20 days, how long, Nico, do you think you get to edit that for? Yeah, I didn't think it would go that long. But then you actually witnessed the evolution of that story.
So you stayed in Germany for 9 months editing the
Not
video.
continuously. We'd edit from here. We'd go and workshop it there to a bunch of different producers, interested people, the distributors. They want to see it, and then they give us feedback on what changes we could make to the story in order to package it for a more international market. There are nuances that were maybe very familiar to us in the writing that once they're on the screen really don't bring the message home. So those were the kind of considerations we made.
Okay.
Yeah, so that was Something Necessary, 2012, 2013. And from there, I joined the Kenyan market in terms of now working on local products, local projects, local programs, documentaries, TV shows, TVCs, short and long movies. I do a lot of non-fiction, so that's a huge part of what I do. But it's been a good career, I think. It's been a number of years that have been interesting in terms of the diversity of things that we've been able to handle.
Putting a number to it, how many years is it?
2012 to now would be 11, 12 years.
Oh, 12 years of editing.
Yeah. But then in the market, it was since 2007.
Now, in some of the projects that you've done, because you've mentioned you've done TVCs, you've done movies, you've done TV shows. Is there a difference in terms of how you approach your editing, or is it just the same TVC and how you edit a wedding? Do you feel that perhaps you need to specialize, or is it just an editor is an editor?
I haven't specialized, so I wouldn't say that there's any need to say I am a wedding video editor or I am a TVC editor. You may find yourself with those kind of networks and that you're doing that kind of work more and more. But in terms of specialization, for example, like I've said, I do a lot of non-fiction documentaries. The approach to the editing process, I wouldn't say is much different. The frame of mind that the editor needs to put themselves in, because I take the editor as the first audience. You have to get into the spirit and into the mood of whatever you're working on.
Have you ever find yourself in a situation where you'd actually require for them to go back to shooting something?
What I say
Yes.
is that I hate to be the guy to send them back. But then if you need to, it's not my fault,
Yes.
So if we need to, we need to.
Now, looking at the editing process, what would you tell someone who wants to join in, who wants to be a video editor right now? They're looking into film and they perhaps want to start doing their own edits. What would you tell them to expect?
I mean, the best and sweetest answer is that it's a wonderful career. You're going to work on amazing stories and you're going to work on blockbusters and one day find yourself in Hollywood. But the reality of the matter is that it is a lot of work. They do have to be ready for those long hours. The solace I find, I think, is that I try to console myself sometimes when it's getting out of hand, is that, I liked this story when I went into it. Someone else had seen something in this story. There was a reason why all this came together. Such that in as much as there's a lot of bitterness, I think, in some of the crew members at the end of a project, just because of the dynamics of working together with different people. If you're in service of that particular work that you're working on, and that you're focusing on the impact that it's going to have, because what is it that we do, man? That's the question. What is it that we do? If it's a TV show, if it's a movie, if it's even a podcast, you want to take the audience and put them in a particular scenario. You want to build that world as an editor. So it's the big shot of the sky and the village, it's the birds flying, it's the music coming in at the right time. If it's a romantic scene, they have to look at each other, pause, hold the moment, cue the music. All those are the things that you're considering. So now if you forget that, you're probably not serving that film. So this could be an action film, fast-paced. I've never been in this city before. So how do I introduce Nairobi? That's the work of an editor right there.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So you're in an association, a guild, that is working on a rate card for more or less something to guide video editors in terms of how to actually post-production professionals on how to guide their pricing. Could you walk us through how you guys came up with that? And how do you personally price your work?
Well, how we went about it was through engagement with other editors, other post-production professionals. So it includes the guys who do VFX, the guys who do color grading, sound. I think musicians and composers have their own organization, but it's part of our process. But in any case, from our WhatsApp groups, we started a conversation. We went to our WhatsApp group where we have, let's say about, at that time, 150, 200, I think even more, but we had 150 people engaging with a document that we put out. Now, this document included a couple of questions. What are the projects that you have worked on? Because we wanted to engage active editors. For it to stop being a theory. Best case scenario is that you get approached for a job and you're told, okay, we're going to shoot this. We want you to edit it in a week, in 2 weeks, and then. And it's all well and good. But then how long did you actually spend on that project? And is that appreciated in terms of how much you're paid, in terms of basically how the whole production handles your case? Oftentimes you found that it wasn't. So because of that, we actually sampled our group, and then we got the numbers. How much were you paid for this project? How much were you paid for this project? And then what are your recommendations? What are your concerns? What's this, that, or the other? And then that all came together to a certain document that helped guide probably the people you're talking about. Once you're approached with a project, how do you go about setting a rate? So I'm afraid of telling people, oh, go and charge this person this much money.
Yes.
But then how do you come up with that figure?
Yeah.
I can engage with that conversation.
So which is, from your perspective, which is the best way to charge for an editing? Do you charge per minute of work done, or do you charge by the hours you've spent? Which is the best for you?
In my experience, I quantify the work that I'm going to do. And more often than not, I found myself charging per project. And then, also the producer, I think, likes that because they have a figure in mind that they have for post-production or for editing. So, you quantify the work, figure out, okay, if this will take us this long with this kind of input from us, then this would be a figure that we can work with. I like to form a relationship with that person. I like them to be part of the process together with me, such that we all know what is happening, such that if I tell you it's this much, and then it's taking longer, it's not me who's taking longer in order to get more money from you, And those were the risks of maybe setting your rate as a daily rate, because it kind of disadvantages you.
Yes.
Setting your rate, or no, not disadvantages, but you're liable for suspicion that is this guy taking longer so that he can bill more.
Yes.
You know, that's a question.
Yes.
If you bill per minute, then you go to your client per minute of work done.
Yes.
Then you go to your client. Let's say it's this podcast. I don't know how long this podcast is meant to be. But then we talk for 2 hours. You give an editor, he edits it down to an hour and a half. Then you come and say, oh, this thing should be 40. See, he has done an hour and a half. So now if you tell him, I'm paying for each completed minute 40, so ends up, who's in control over here. So those are kind of the things that I say. I like to form a relationship, talk about the project, talk about what's going to go into it. Like I told you, set up the project, in my case, set up the project and then start the actual edit. But I want to deliver to my client a complete picture edit. You shot a TV episode, you shot a documentary. This is all the footage from your 4 days of shooting. I want to give you that picture edit, what I would call my first draft, that has more or less a elaborated sound design, where I put in all the elements where I want them to go, kind of drafts of VFX if anything needs to go there. One of the things that I learned, I have to say, when working on that, something necessary, is that even the story could change. You could look at a scene and say, oh, these words would be more effective to bring home the point. So we have something called ADR, where we record additional dialogue. It's like a dialogue replacement where we rewrite those ones. So you put in your suggestions and then you give it. But what are the considerations when you're giving this complete picture edit with drafts of music and everything? It's all those things, because you want this thing to be impactful to your audience. Once I deliver that as a first draft, then we can start talking about whatever changes are coming and where are the changes coming from, which depends on the destination of this project. So how I bill is, in case it's this kind of a project and we agreed on a lump sum price, then you give me probably 40% when I'm beginning the project. Then when I give you this first draft, you give me 30%. And then the journey begins, because that is actually where the journey begins. Let the feedback come in. Let all the different people who are interested in this watch it and give feedback. Or someone else has a different idea about the music, which in this case might change the edit, So until now, that other 30% is achieved. But the reason I'm saying that you need to be together with your director, with your producer, is that these things can also get out of hand, man. Projects take years. So if you had framed it like this, how would you be able to quantify that additional work? So these are the kind of pointers and guidelines that we give in this document.
All right. So like, if I'm hearing correct, for you to decide what you're going to price, how you're going to price, you look at the entire project, the amount of work you're going to put in, the creativity that is going to go to this work, if there's going to be music, if there's going to be additional work that you're going to put in. You look at it for its entirety and then say, this is how much I'm going to price.
Yeah.
So you actually do not look at it in terms of hours. This is the amount of hours I'm spending. Or is that a consideration as well? Like looking at, you have, let's say, 20 hours of footage. And I need to reduce it to, let's say, 20 minutes. So is that, how do you approach that in terms of even looking at the hours you're going to spend?
So I guess the different projects have different parameters. So a question comes up: how long for a 45-minute episode? How long should we? Let's not talk about how much, but how long should it take to be edited? If you're expecting a full edit with music, with VFX, with ADR, almost as close to complete as possible, then you're able to quantify. Did you shoot it on one camera or two cameras? Those are now variables, which is now part of that conversation. What I say personally, and I get this from other people, just through their networks and interacting, you find people with interesting formulas to calculate this kind of thing. If you spend a day in the field shooting, I want 2 or 3 days to edit it.
Okay.
But that's, and also within reason. Because, of course, some things will take longer just because of the nature of the project and the amount of stuff that you need to put into it. But then as a basic rule, I would say if you shoot for a day, give me 2-3 days to edit it. Then we start counting from there.
That is interesting that you said. What about projects that just take a day? And it's actually a lot of footage, like a wedding. A wedding takes a day. And you have since 6 a.m. to 10. So that's a lot of hours of editing. Of footage that you need to look at. So
two cameras.
Yes. So how do you approach that in terms of pricing?
What do you want? It's your wedding.
Yes.
What do you want done to this wedding? Because I did weddings for a good long time, and as you're explaining it, it would be extremely easy to film for a day, cut out all the bad parts, the camera shakes, the time the microphone feeds back and stuff like that. Cut that stuff out and give these guys 3-4 hour video. of their wedding. I would talk about parity.
People pricing on time, on how much time either the final footage is going to be or how much time I'm going to spend. There's a recent, there's someone that said that they charge 200 bob per minute of edited footage. So from your perspective, what do you think about that? Charging per minute of edited footage. Is it something that is sustainable? Is it something that... is it unfair for the editor?
It's a difficult question because I think I know the case you're talking about. I
Yes.
don't know if you're going to put a link to it or whatever.
Yes.
But so the scenario is somebody is working on a channel. These guys, they go and shoot in absence of the editor. What they bring him back is a hard disk full of footage.
Yes.
And he has been editing this this footage for some time, couple of years, I guess. And he has been charging according to the minutes of finished footage.
Yes, yes.
Such that when he quantifies it to us, he says, okay, this 10 minutes will take me a day. 200 bob times 10 minutes is 2 Gs, so I earn 2,000 bob a day. Now, if I'm able to make it 15 minutes, am I going to earn more? You know?
Yeah.
He also said that he went and got feedback and changes from this client. What do those changes mean to your duration? You know?
Yes.
I wouldn't advise it, to be honest. I wouldn't knock it because it's a formula that people use. People charge hourly. We don't have that model here. But then abroad, you know, there is something like an established hourly rate,
Yes.
right?
Yes.
There is the idea that we are freelancers. So we have to compare ourselves equitably with people who are employed. If this is your career, if you're an actual editor by profession, this is your career.
So basically, what you're saying, you do not advise for someone to do that, isn't it?
I wouldn't advise. However, I would not eliminate it because there is that guy who wants, just chuck the shakes. Chuck camera shakes, tour that place where that dog is barking, that motorcycle is going, and give us our footage.
And there's something you've mentioned about footage being sent back. Should that also be part of you looking at the broader project? Is there a number of edits you should require as a video editor? Like, yes,
100%. Part of your contract, because our recommendation from AFEK, from or every single person you'll talk to, is get a contract.
The post-production process, quite a number of people, colorists, sound designers.
Yes.
And in most cases, where nowadays we just have one person who's shooting, editing, and doing all these things.
True.
How important are these people in the final edit?
Look, I'm here to encourage people to produce more, because if they put out more work there's more work out there for us.
Yes.
So I wouldn't say that you absolutely need a separate individual for every individual role. In fact, if I was an editor, I would try and supplement my editing skills with one more skill and take it to, a level where you can actually charge for it.
Going back to AFEK, how important is that community being able to collaborate with other editors? And what are some of the benefits that an editor can actually enjoy in a community like AFEK?
Thanks for that question, because we felt it absolutely necessary. We do have something called the Kenya Film and Television Professionals Association, KFPTA, which includes all practitioners in this work, film and TV. For editors, talking together, knowing what the other has gone through, really elevates our morale, because you're not alone. And that special thing you did in that particular movie, there's someone else who saw what you did, even if other people. The best editing is invisible.
Yes.
It's invisible. It feels so natural, such that the audience goes in and walks out. It was like a part of their life. They didn't notice. the small details. Within the whole picture is also our relationship with an organization called Tempo, which we got introduced to. Tempo is the International Federation of Editors, Film Editor Associations. So we were able, I think we were the second African country after South Africa to join Tempo, and opens our eyes up to everybody goes through the same considerations.
Do you think we're going to get to a point where editors are getting paid that residual amount? You've done a project, it's out there, it's taken by a streamer, then they start making money. Do you feel like we're going to get to a place where you're going to be getting some money from those old films?
From films already produced?
Yes.
Wow, I don't think that many of those films had included that in their contracts.
I'm seeing there was an issue last year with actually writers, film writers. They had that issue where films they've done.
In America now.
Yes, in America.
The strike.
Yes, the strike.
Yes.
They wanted that to be included in their because most of the time when you were film, you didn't know that this thing is going to be taken to a streaming website.
True.
You thought that it's just going to be showed in a cinema, and whatever they're going to get there. Now it's taken to a...
It has picked up, especially in this Netflix age. And,
yes.
Yes. Like binge watching and stuff like that.
Yes. Do you feel that could be something that even AFEK could look at?
I hope that we as AFEK get empowered to be able to be in the negotiating room in terms of talking about stuff like that. These are deals oftentimes made by producers who took huge risks to launch those projects, and I guess they're entitled to making something out of it. So in my best case scenario would be yes, there is a chance. Now we have a huge issue with delays in payment. There are editors that we have interacted with in AFEK who have encountered major mental health challenges because of the lifestyle that we lead, like I tried to describe. Very isolated. Many people don't know editors. I hope people get to see me now on this podcast. They don't know who those guys are, right? So we do have people who have gone through it. There's, I call it drug and drink problem with this group of people that needs some kind of intervention. So AFEK is there for that reason. Some of the best feedback that we have received after working on a project, good feedback would be, that was the story that I wanted to tell. That's exactly how I'd visualized it. When you talk to, a writer, a director, those are good feedback. We want to get you there, We also want to be empowered enough to produce our own films.
As a video editor, looking into the future, what skills do you feel that people need to start gaining with AI and all that? And personally, I'd just like to know, is there a recommendation for software? Because these things take time to learn. So is there a recommendation for software for someone who wants to do long form videos? What would you advise?
I use Adobe.
Yes.
I'm on Adobe.
It's industry standard, isn't it?
Yes. It's not everywhere.
Yes.
There's a huge market for Avid in Europe and in the US, such that...
But is Avid really practical in terms of editing everyday footage?
I would say that it is a very capable tool. But as well, DaVinci is a very capable tool. Because it's all about the control. You want to be able to control your timeline, your footage. You want to be able to find what you want. So in terms of someone coming in or the question that you've asked, what's the future looking like? I would say AI is huge.
And how do you work with assistants in terms of editing?
Oh, they are so vital. Oh my God. I think a good assistant is very vital. And there are people who are editing assistants.
That's their role.
I'm going to one day become an editor. I am an editing assistant.
So how does that work? How does it work? I have never worked with an editing assistant, so I'm trying to look at it. How does it work? Do they look at the footage first, put up a raw lineup?
See, now, once you map out what the plan is, if you're there with your assistant, they're able to take a lot off of your shoulders, yeah? Because it's what you want to spend your time on. So let's say, per the document, the AFEK rate card,
Yes.
we divide into 3.
Yes.
So there's a beginner, there's a intermediary, and there's a senior editor, right? Depending on the years of experience, depending on number of projects handled. As you're working on as an editor, there are so many little things that you do that you will benefit from if somebody takes them off your shoulders. Talked about syncing. Talked about, okay, I'm working on this, I would just grab me all the Nairobi shots. The advantage that I had working as an editor was that I watched a project from beginning to end. We were in the field, we shot, we came, I saw the guy editing.
And it's actually quite important for you to be...
Yes, I saw it completed.
Yes.
And so with that, I am able to take a project to its logical conclusion.
All right. I think we're about to wrap up. Now, what do you think in terms of networking? How can AFEK help editors network?
The fact that AFEK exists means that you're able to collaborate and communicate with your peers. I visualize a day where, I mean, right now we have such forums on AFEK, on our AFEK forums where we have, let's say, a masterclass. Let's say it's sponsored by Adobe. So we hear about it, we get ourselves in. Netflix once gave a 2 or 3 day workshop on specific things that they were concerned about. And you know how these things are put together? It's now just a sidebar is that an organization I mentioned here, Tempo, that's a federation of editors. I've had the honor of going to one of those meetings and meeting some of these guys. The considerations they have are all the same. The concerns they have are all the same. I had one chat with a guy about, you know what, this work really, it weighs heavily on you. You dream about what you're doing. It's heavy work. It's a lot of work. It's long hours. It's many days. So I was talking to a guy. What do you do to unwind, to relax, to chill out?
Yeah.
This guy said, you know what? I have an island in Mayotte. Mayotte is between Mozambique and Madagascar. I have like a small island. And I go there.
He owns an island.
Oh, yeah. He bought it after he shot. They did which movie? One big blockbuster. He bought it. And so he goes there and fiecas had your stress in him. So, of course, we don't have islands. But we can talk.
Yeah.
We can talk away from the budget and rates conversation. We can talk about processes, about actual films that have been produced in this country by members of AFEK, or we can have a conversation about how did you do this, why did you do this, therefore making ourselves better. With this kind of programs, I'm telling you, masterclasses and workshops, we do imagine that there is going to be a way to have professional advancement in as part of our offering, such as an editor can attend, talks and classes or whatever, and from one year to the other you can map your growth in terms of profession, because it's endless, man. I wonder what the retirement age is from this work, because I've seen them, man. I've seen very old men who have extremely good editors, international renown. They're the go-to people, especially when you have a certain kind of a story, or mine is a bit complicated, mine is a bit sensitive, you need somebody to help you usher that story or bring it home. We have seen them, so I doubt that...
I even saw Harrison Ford is shooting a new movie.
Yeah.
And it's very old.
Very old, yeah. Yeah, now talk about the editors. There's a guy called like Walter Match. I think he'd been 70s, 80s, still an editor, So yes, they may have directed and produced a few of their own personal films, but at the heart, they are editors. So yes, this kind of personal growth, personal professional development, depending on the size of the group, we do want to pay attention to the concerns that people have. See, we want to gather, we want to grow even in our own livelihoods. We want to kind of develop our families, get things like medical insurances, things that are sometimes not sustainable on a freelance budget. So how can you come and negotiate collectively? Those are things that have been achieved by other associations that we are aspiring to, that we need to be such a cohesive group that we can have such conversations. Yeah.
All right. I think you've said it all. Thank you very much. Really appreciate you coming to the show. Well, then, and thank you guys for tuning in.